F1, a movie made to be grand and was, well, grand. I'm sorry I'm a little late to this grand fiesta. Usually I try to make day one reviews of movies, but I was unfortunately in a place where even Wi Fi doesn't exist. Anyways, after coming back, the first thing I did was watch the movie, and here's my honest review of it. The first thing that I have to say is watch this movie in IMAX. Because as you all know, IMAX is the best way to experience a movie, and that's what this movie is all about, the viewing experience, the grandeur in the making of the film. The viewing experience is the best part about the entire movie. The movie itself isn't all that great, but the components of the movie that add to the viewing experience, like the cinematography and the sound design, were all peak. Now, I'm going to talk about the positives and the negatives of the movie. Let's start off with the positives. Like I already said, the cinematography and sound design gave me eyegasms and eargasms, and I didn't even watch the movie in the theaters. Don't ask me how I watched it, but all I want to say is that if I had such a great viewing experience when I didn't even go to the theaters, imagine the viewing experience you can get from watching this movie in IMAX. The cinematography and sound design were truly incredible. Talking about sound, let's move on to the score. I'm not saying the score was bad. Matter of fact, it was good, great even. But the amount of people online glazing the score is insane. People are out there saying this is one of the best scores they have heard and that it comes second after Interstellar. No, the score is nowhere near as good as Interstellar's score. Just to be clear, I'm not saying it's bad. It was great, but please don't be fooled by the comments online. I have a feeling people are just being biased because it was made by Hans Zimmer. Hans is one of my favorite composers, but this score is just not what people tell it to be. Now, the most spectacular part of the movie, and the part which most people even went to the theaters to watch, the races. All of them were amazing. The camera angles and the sound design and the tension buildup and the rivalry and everything was just an edge of the seat experience. The races were great. The initial races felt a little fast as it had sudden cuts which just felt out of place. But as the movie went on, the races started becoming better and better, and the editing was truly appreciable. The races themselves had depth and added to the plot. Minor spoilers ahead, the part where Joshua crashes his car literally had me with my eyes as wide as an owl and my hands on my head. I was screaming like, is he okay? What happened to him? The scene was done very well, but the scene that followed this wasn't that good. This takes me to my first negative, the pacing. This is a long movie, over 2.5 hours long, and it somehow was still so fast paced, a little bit too fast paced at times. After the incident, which I just mentioned, I felt like there could have been a little slowing down. They could have hit the brakes a little and focused on the emotional distraught and recovery of him, which would have in turn added more satisfaction when he gets back on the track. Now, the biggest negative in this movie has got to be the writing. I understand the main focus of this movie is the races, but even then, we need proper writing to carry the plot forward. It's like when we try to draw a person and it ends up so horrible, we just start adding random squiggles and lines and somehow turn what started as a portrait into an abstract painting. That's what this movie basically is. The dialogues were just so random and out of place and just not at all thought of, but gets overshadowed by the grand racing scenes. Oh, and also, I applaud the director for doing most of the races practically and without CGI. This makes us appreciate the races even more. Now, when I said the writing was bad, I meant the script, not the screenplay. What I mean is the dialogues were bad, but the plot and the story was written very well. When you have such a long movie, focusing solely on one thing is going to be tedious and boring to watch. That's why most movies have certain subplots, some which carry the main plot forward, and others which don't have any sort of connection or impact on the main plot, but add depth to the overall movie. And this movie had tons of subplots, and I really, really love that. Obviously, I'm not going to say what those are, but it added depth to the movie. Moving on to the characters. This this I liked. I applaud the writing for the characters because in this movie every character has a character arc and good character development. Idris's character Joshua goes from this young, cocky, arrogant racer to this more mature, respectful racer who doesn't get upset but happy when his teammate takes over first place and finishes the final race. We have the car engineer Kate, who starts off making a shitbox and then proceeds to build a car that gets their team a championship trophy. We even had a pit crew member who keeps messing up at the beginning to making record level pit stops at the end. Like every character in this movie has good character development. It's like they say in the movie itself, F1 is a team sport, and we can see the entire team improve throughout the movie. Now, the one problem I have with the writing of the characters is that Brad Pitt's character was written so well, he outshines all of the other characters. There was so much thought put into Brad Pitt's character and pretty much no thought put into any of the other characters. It's like they spent 90% of their non race budget on Brad Pitt and 10% on the rest of the characters. But in the end, this is a movie made to be watched solely for the experience and the grandeur behind the completely practical races and not for the plot. So don't analyze it too critically. My verdict is go watch this movie in IMAX and enjoy an experience of a lifetime. My final rating for this movie would be 3.5 out of 5. Now, if this review helped you in any way, and if you agree with my review, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more cinema related content because that's what my channel is all about. Thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.